Speaking of conspiracy theories that actually have truth at the bottom of them, the Corona Relief Bill the president signed last month contains a provision that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. It directs the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of other agencies, to disclose what they know about UFOs within 180 days. So what are they going to tell us? Nick Pope is an expert on this subject. He's former UK Minister of Defense. He's an official of the UK Ministry of Defense. He joins us tonight. Nick, thanks so much for coming on. What do you think we're likely to learn? Will they obey is the first question. Will they actually tell us what they know? And if they do, what will they tell us?
Well, this is going to be a very interesting year for UFOs, that's for sure, Tucker. And yes, they will definitely have to produce this report within 180 days. So we're going to get this by late June. It has to be unclassified, but can have a classified annex. So the answer, what the public will get, maybe not a lot, but what the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee will get, hopefully a whole lot more, and hopefully some answers to these questions that we've been asking for months now. What is going on in our airspace? What has the US Navy been encountering? And what is it that has been in these classified briefings that we know some senators have already had?
What do you think they're likely to reveal?
Well, it's interesting because Senator Marco Rubio said he would almost rather this was alien, because if it turns out to be China or Russia, then we're in big trouble, because the sorts of speeds and maneuvers and accelerations that these objects are capable of really is concerning. And I hope that we're going to find out about that. It's interesting, just before Christmas, there were some leaks. Sitting in Office of Naval Intelligence is an organization called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. They're probably the ones drafting this report. Some leaks suggest they have not ruled out the extraterrestrial hypothesis.
Yeah, and there may be physical evidence of the existence of these craft, whatever they are. Have you heard that?
Yes, I've heard talk of so-called metamaterials, and I think this report really will have to disclose. I mean, what the Intelligence Committee want to know is everything in government is fragmented. They want to know who knows what. They want a single official named and put in charge of all this. And this is going to include FBI, by the way, as well as the military and the intelligence community. We want answers.
Yeah, and I don't want to wait till June. Why don't they do it tomorrow morning and finally declassify the rest of the Warren Commission report while they're at it? And this is just nonsense. And I appreciate your help on this. Hopefully we'll find out very soon. Nick,
thank you.
Great to see you.
With the news coming out the last few days about, the president signing the gigantic omnibus in Congress, what's the new nugget that's kind of interesting to those who pay attention to UFOs?
Well, it's the fact that embedded in this Omni Act that's now been signed is the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. And that has in it language on UFOs. And specifically, or should I say UAP, as the phenomenon is known within government, unidentified aerial phenomena. And specifically, there is a request from the Senate Intelligence Committee to the Director of National Intelligence that a report be produced about the phenomenon within 180 days of enactment. So the clock is ticking.
Yeah, and this is in regards to, from what I understand, the Pentagon's new UFO task force. A task force was essentially put together and announced officially by the Department of Defense. And as you mentioned earlier, one of the specific details about this report is that it's due within 180 days of its inception, which, if it in fact it appears to be that the president has approved this bill, that puts us in June. So in June, towards the end of June, the government has to start revealing their reports, their findings on UFOs, correct?
That's right. And there's some good news and some bad news here. The good news is that they might even come in early. There's no reason to say they're going to take the full 180 days. So we may well get it at any stage, particularly if I say that they've probably already been working on some of this. The bad news is that a lot of this may still be highly classified. So it's one thing for the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Armed Services Committee and some others in Congress to get this. But I think there are questions over precisely what, if anything, the general public will get.
And I think it's important to note and to say and emphasize that the reason why any of this is happening, the reason why this task force was put together, the reason why Senate Intelligence was briefed on this, that senators were briefed on this, that of course the president was briefed on this, is because over the last few years, it's come out that the US military pilots and personnel are encountering unknown, fast-moving, weird stuff in the air, and to this day, no determination as to what these things are has been made. Correct?
That is correct, and indeed, on the Pentagon's website, you can still see the press release where they said these 3 videos, the ones that were put out some years earlier, these 3 videos, the phenomenon characterized, remain unidentified. And that's still their line. So, and the other point with all this is, yes, we've seen 3 videos, but in their public statements, both from the DoD and from the Navy earlier, it's been made very clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that it's an ongoing series of these encounters in the restricted military aerospace around aircraft carriers, for example, but also military installations and other facilities on the continental United States. And again, this was behind the Senate Intelligence Committee's demand for action. They said, look, we don't even know really within government and the military and the intelligence community who knows what about this. So firstly, we want some cohesion among government so that we're all sort of singing from the same hymn sheet. And secondly, we want something done about this. We don't want everyone just saying, well, that's interesting. We want people saying, look, half of the people think it's Russia. Some people think it's China. Some people think it's extraterrestrial. What are we dealing with here? And that's what we're going to try and untangle. But as I say, whether Congress gets definitive answers is very different from whether the media and the public get them. And it's much less likely, I think, the media and the public will get let into the secrets of what the government knows about this.